This from the Packers. It is feared it is a torn ACL for Micah Parsons. This comes according to multiple reports. Parsons will have further testing to confirm that injury. He has 12.5 sacks this season after coming over in the trade from the Dallas Cowboys. The Packers traded 2 firsts, defensive tackle Kenny Clark, to acquire Parsons, who then signed a 4-year, $186 million deal, but it appears to be season over for the star edge rusher. And for more, we're right to the site with reaction with Tony Romo. And Tony, I want to start you right there. On the Green Bay Packers side, the losing side of the ledger, yes, but more lost within this game than just the game in the form of Micah Parsons. What does this change for the Packers internally in that locker room and externally across the NFC?
It's huge. I mean, he's been a dominant force, and just his ability to create the pressure. He was dynamic in this game today, so that opens it up. I mean, Watson went out earlier. That affected their offense. Part of the reason they were rolling a little bit when he was out there. Then Parsons goes out, makes things a lot easier, you know, for a quarterback, because you have that extra hitch, the extra look to the next receiver. So to me, this opens it up, because going into this, I thought that Green Bay was probably maybe the top 2 teams in the NFC. That changes, I think, if Parsons is out.
Yeah, it's feared to be an ACL again here for Micah Parsons. That pass rush getting dinged internally a couple weeks ago, and now on the edge with their star addition that was supposed to be that piece that would take them to this next level, a place it really looked like they were heading. On the other side, it is a team maybe destined for number 1. The Denver Broncos are in hot pursuit, and they answer a question maybe the critics or those who still doubted had, is can you, in a game like this, do everything required? How did they answer that question in your eyes?
Unbelievable. I really felt like they controlled the game. The one thing you can hang your hat on is this defense, right? It's like, now, today, Bo Nix was incredible. Threw 4 touchdown passes, answered the bell at every time he was asked to, but truly, the 2 interceptions and 3 sacks all came in the second half when they had to have it. And I think that shows you that you can rely on this defense, who's, you know, got a shot at the record all time, beating the Bears in the 80s, you know, for sacks in the season. And it's like some part of your team has to carry you in the playoffs. And I feel like Denver has that on defense. And obviously, if Bo plays like this, they can beat anybody.
Yeah, big fellas cast a shadow, and I feel like that's been the story this season. As we've watched Bo Nix come along, focus still goes to that defense because of how talented they are, the turnovers they create, and the way that they rush the passer. But credit here, let's shed some light on 23 of 34 for 303 and those 4 touchdowns you mentioned. Where are you seeing Bo Nix mature in front of your eyes?
I just feel like he's learning it a little bit better. He's getting through his progressions a little faster, but he's more poised in the pocket. They do a great job. I thought early in the game, they always play to their defense, I call it, where it's like, okay, we're going to protect the football, we're going to run the ball, we're going to do this, but there's not really that many explosives. They don't really give you that feeling of like they can get you at any moment. And today, all of a sudden, it was like, they can kind of get you at any moment, but they just felt like they were simply doing the right thing over and over and over again, and they got a little more aggressive as the game went on because they needed to, because Green Bay actually was moving the football, and I feel like that's really a good sign for a team. Sean Payton adjusting within the game that day, because it's really about winning the game that day, changing what you're doing, not waiting until watching the tape after the game before you adjust.
A mile high and miles ahead. Tony Romo, always appreciate your time, my friend.
Thank you.
Tony Romo, Jim Nantz, and Tracy Wolfson, always bringing you the best on CBS. Most comeback wins in a season since 2000. This one come from behind in nature, now 11, which ties the Kansas City Chiefs from a season ago. We know where that season ended. We'll see if Denver can represent the AFC. More to come here on HQ Postgame. Evening action coming to a head. We got all your highlights, plus we get you set for the Sunday Nighter. You're in the right place. It's CBS Sports HQ. So a loss within the loss here for the Green Bay Packers, who fall to a Broncos team that just keeps going. Let's start there first, JJ. This is a Broncos side that no matter how they do it, where they do it, against who, we continue to question if they can go all the way, if they can carry the sort of play to, let's say, San Francisco. What sort of confidence does this type of win build?
It builds a lot of confidence within the team. It also, I think, will build a lot of confidence among the pundits who talk about the Denver Broncos. I don't want to speak for my men up here, but over the last couple of weeks, I know when we talk about the Broncos, we say, yeah, but. And we say, oh, okay, but the first 45 minutes, and then you get lucky Bo Nix in the fourth quarter, and then they all of a sudden, with that great defense, get some losses that turn into wins. In this game, they were down. In this game, in the second half, they came back, and they started that comeback in the third quarter. And it was an entire team effort because they went up, and not in some lucky way, not in some fluke way as maybe we've seen or you could accuse the Broncos offense of over most of this season. They won this game legitimately over a team competing for the number 1 seed in their conference and then stopped them on downs. And we're intercepting Jordan Love, who has been playing pretty well as of late. So I want to credit the Denver Broncos for an entire and total team win against a great opponent, something that we have not really truly seen, something that I think this is one of their more legitimate wins of the season.
Mac, you often talk about up in that green room, doctorate level teaching in the back end of marrying your pass rush with coverage in the back end. How'd you see that team do this today? Because we give so much credit up front, but Surtain and the fellas in back, it felt like blanket coverage making everything very hard for Jordan Love today.
This was a great test for Denver because of how hot the Green Bay Packers have been along with the quarterback in Jordan Love, and they got their first-round pick back in the lineup in Matthew Golden. So when you talk about seeing this playoff caliber matchup unfold in Denver with their defense, how dominant they've been, I wanted to see what they could do to Jordan Love in terms of making things difficult for him, in terms of having sticky coverage in the back end, which they provided. We saw some holes, some windows of openings for Josh Jacobs, but outside of that, in the fourth quarter, they closed this ball game. That's why if you're an AFC foe, you don't want to go through Denver late January with their defense, with that crowd and that momentum, because they will peel their ears back and they will make you run around the yard like they made Jordan Love run around. So their defense just did what they've been doing the entire season. But the one, I guess, deciding factor for me and what I love and what I wanted to see was Bo Nix.
Yeah.
This is what I wanted to see from Bo Nix. And I know Micah Parsons left this game in the fourth quarter, I think it was, because of the knee injury. But while he was in the game, Micah got after Bo. It did not matter. Bo ran around, he made plays, he was efficient, and he threw with confidence. This was his best game today, in my opinion. I know he had a 3-touchdown game against Indy early in the year, but when you look at how efficient he was today, no interceptions. I mean, 4 touchdowns, over 300 yards, completed 67% against those pass rushers from Green Bay. This is what we wanted to see. Now you have a newfound sense of confidence with Denver because if you look at the past Super Bowl winning championship teams, their quarterback started to thrive in December, which led to that same momentum in January, which led to them hoisting the sticky Lombardi. If Bo, we don't need to see this all the time, Bo, but in terms of just the efficiency and the timely playmaking that he provided today, this team can be scary and they can win it all.
Yeah, staying around and staying in the fight is in their DNA. And that's what we've seen from the Denver Broncos, especially when you talk about Bo Nix. To your point, I agree with you wholeheartedly. This was the best game he's played from a situational standpoint. Think about it. We watched that 4th and 3, and they didn't try to just get the first down. He went for the jugular and got a deep throw, perfectly thrown, outstretched reach arms of Sutton, I believe it was. So it was a great decision by him. And also, you talk about the defensive line of the Denver Broncos. I mean, I just like the fact that they went out there and heated up Jordan Love in that second half, in that fourth quarter. He didn't play good at all in the fourth quarter. And so when you look at everyone on that team, Hufanga making plays, flying across the field, staying in the fight, Bo Nix doing things above the X's and O's. And so when you force some of these bad decisions for these other teams, you have all the success you see out there. And Bo Nix, to me, when you play like this, when the team plays like this against that opponent, even staying in the fight ties to the defense backs. How many times they got called for ticky-tack PIs, and they just came back the next play, made a play, turned the ball over. So this was a great team win. Guys, that DNA that they have on their roster right now, this can go a long way for them.
Let's stamp this one, the Bo Show's performance.
Facts.
He's shown you that in a cross-conference clash, in a big-time moment, he can be the best quarterback on the field. Jordan Love played competent football once again, made some really nice passes in the first half. But when we're looking at this Green Bay Packers team holistically, a couple big losses within this one as well. We don't know the extent of the injury for Christian Watson. It's feared to be an ACL for Micah Parsons. So if you're talking about power ranking the most important pieces of the Green Bay Packers, I think undoubtedly you'd say Jordan Love number 1, you'd say Micah Parsons number 2, and Christian Watson might be there at number 3. Josh Jacobs, we're not here to do a power rankings list, but two of the biggest pieces now in question, one almost certainly done for the season, Mac. What does this day mean for the Green Bay Packers, who now do give chase as they go into that head-to-head with the Chicago Bears, the Bears now first in the North?
It's devastating. It's devastating because of how important Micah Parsons is for their organization. But you also have to factor in Micah became even more important when they lost Wyatt weeks ago, their best interior defensive lineman. So you already will be without Wyatt the rest of the way. Now you lose your best defensive player. This hit tenfold now because you're in a situation within your schedule where you're trying to figure things out, not just to get into the playoffs, but seeding is very, very important. You just lost today to Denver. Guess who you have next week? The Chicago Bears.
At Chicago.
And unfortunately, the life in the NFL, Mike Tomlin used to tell us this all the time. The NFL world, meaning the other teams in the league, they can care less about your problems.
Yeah.
They ain't gonna be crying. They ain't gonna be sending you no cards.
They're just game planning for
They
your
applaud
53.
your problems.
Yeah.
That's the life. So if you're a Chicago Bears player and you heard this, no question you feel some type of way because Micah is a great player. But we got to get ready to take advantage of this opportunity. We got to get our get back and we got to solidify our place in this division. So this put more pressure on Matt LaFleur and his coaching staff to be able to sweep some of these injuries under the rug and still provide a sense of production for you to get into the playoffs. Because regardless of what happens, we feel like this team should still get into the playoffs. They should still be able to make something happen in the playoffs. But we know how important Micah is, and your chances are better when you have number one running around after opposing quarterbacks than when you don't.
There's no doubt, and that's why you trade what you traded for Micah Parsons like they did. Here's going to be my concern is they are missing Micah Parsons for the rest of the year. And Christian Watson has a chest injury. We don't know yet the severity of it, but it certainly looked like he may not be playing next week at the very least. We talked about Josh Jacobs. That knee has been bothering Josh Jacobs, and he's been close to not playing for about a month now. And we saw him a little gimpy there at the end of the game as well. Let's also not forget, because then when you start talking about offensively, there's no replacing Micah Parsons, so go ahead and forget that. Let's move to the other side of the ball. When you talk about offensively, all right, let's figure out a way. If we're missing Christian Watson, if Josh Jacobs can't go, who do we turn to? Tucker Kraft has been out.
Yep.
Right? Their top tight end, arguably their top target. And so that is what I'm looking at with a Green Bay Packers team that I agree with you, B-Mac. I still think they get into the tournament, but this is going to be a very injured, very banged up Green Bay Packers team that's probably going on the road in the second week of January in the first round of the playoffs.
We always talk about the value of that 5 seed if you are in the wild card picture, especially this season. You're going to get the least of the best. That's going to be the NFC South this season, whether it be the Carolina Panthers or the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. This is a Green Bay team that now needs to hold on and find a new way because Parsons is out. You have some questions on the offensive side. Here a look at some numbers for Micah Parsons. Sacks in your first 5 seasons. It was 12.5 here in his first season as a Green Bay Packer.